Everyone thinks that teens in our world today use alcohol, tobacco, or drugs to cope with everyday struggles. You may think they do.
But they don't. Welcome to the But They Don't podcast, a podcast for teens by teens. Join us as we cover substance use prevention, mental health, community conversations, and more.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the But They Don't podcast. My name's Katie.
And I'm Melissa. So this is our fourth episode and our second episode in our series, Community Conversations. And we want to start out with our blunt truth of the week. So I have 2 points for this. One of them is 1.7 million high school students said that they have used e-cigarettes in the past 30 days. And the other one is 1 in 5 high school seniors are vaping. I don't think that people realize the effect that this is going to have on them in the future. We don't even know all of the consequences that these things can have on them. Yeah. And high school seniors especially, they are about to graduate and they are already thinking about their future and what they're going to do. And as they're vaping, it's hurting their bodies, and that's going to stop them from doing other things.
Yeah, and what's going to happen to you in 2 years?
Right, exactly.
We don't know. So,
okay, well then our next thing is our natural high of the week.
Yeah, so I brought one of my close friends in, Bella. What is your name?
I love that.
I'm Bella.
So what activities do you do?
I cheer.
Oh, that's fun.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, so what is since you are a cheerleader, obviously you stay away from drugs. So what's your experience with it? Have people asked you if you want to smoke, vape, drink?
Yeah, there's a lot of smoking and vaping in the school bathrooms and hallways. So really, I don't get involved. My parents raised me up better than that to, mess up my life in the future.
Yeah.
And what grade are you in?
I'm a senior.
Okay, so you're getting ready to go to college and stuff too. That's awesome.
Yes.
What are you planning to do afterwards?
I'm planning on going to school to be a special needs teacher.
Oh, wow. So do you have any experience with that now?
I do. I actually help out with a special needs class. I actually just had the opportunity to ask one of my special needs kids to go to semi-formal with me.
Wow,
so,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
I know
sweet.
that made their week,
yes.
made their year probably.
Yeah,
that's great. What turns you away from doing drugs and alcohol and partying, and what turns you away from these specific things?
Probably what I want to do whenever I get older, and I want at least 3 kids.
Right.
So I don't want to mess up anything up in my life that's going to mess
Right.
up my future.
Yeah.
Is there anything that is affecting you now? If you think about it, if I start doing this, how is this going to affect me now in this situation?
Not that I can think of.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said earlier, a lot of seniors, the blunt truth of the week, that told you how many seniors are doing the things that we're talking about, and to see someone else who knows that this could affect their future, it's really encouraging, because I see a lot of seniors who do that, and I mean, you don't really know how it's going to affect you, because these are newer things. And so once you think about your future and think about how it can affect you, it really just kind of changes your mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like Alyssa said in the podcast me and her did not that long ago, she said that a lot of people are losing scholarships. So, I mean, a senior that has worked so hard to get a scholarship, and then they go and make one bad decision and it's taken away from them.
Right. Well, we are so glad that you could come in and join us on our podcast. You're our first in-person Natural High of the Week. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Turning off of that, we are very, very excited to introduce our director, Jessica Gibson.
Hello.
So is it weird for you to we're welcoming you onto the podcast and your office is right next door?
No, I love this. I'm super excited to be here.
Welcome to our office.
Right. We have a couple questions. Actually, it's a little more than a couple.
That's okay.
But we have some questions that we are going to ask you, if that's all right.
Sure.
So our very first question is, what is your position at Behavioral Health Services and what does it entail?
So, my position at Behavioral Health is Director of Prevention Services, and it's a really fancy title for being able to go out in the community, doing presentations, supervising staff as they do things and presentations, giving talks, doing community-based things. A lot of our stuff is in the community. And just educating the community on the dangers of substance abuse. And particularly, we work with youth a lot, like with you guys, but we also cover all the populations in the county.
Right. So what's the main goal of the prevention team at Behavioral Health?
So we have 3 main goals that we work with. The first one is to increase the number of people who abstain from alcohol, tobacco, or other drug use. Second one is to delay the start of use so as an example, like underage drinking, for example. We know the effects that it can have on the brain if you start using at before 21. So we try to delay the start of use. If you're going to use, wait until you're 21, until it's legal for you to do so. And then the final goal is to decrease the number of people who are high-risk drug users. So trying to keep people from treatment is what we say we do, but we are really community-oriented in that we want to see our community better and healthy. And so that's like an overarching goal, a better and healthier community.
On average, how many teenagers do you usually work with?
So it depends. We have our youth board, which is you guys, which we love getting to work with. I love youth board.
So much fun.
Yes, youth board is awesome. And I love getting to work with youth board. There's 15 of you guys this year. So that's really cool. It's the most we've had in a really long time. But as far as outside of youth board, they see more people in the treatment side of behavioral health. And so they are usually seeing around 100 kids a year, maybe more than that.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure exactly what ages are, but I know that there's a good number of adolescents that are seen on the other side. We mostly see kids in prevention who have used a tobacco product. They have to come to a class called tobacco education here, and that's part of their sentence as getting caught with that product. They get to come to a class with one of our staff members and are just educated about the dangers. And what we do know, you said earlier, we don't know a lot of the long-term effects, and that's true. We have no clue because e-cigarettes are definitely a newer product, and there's not been a lot of studies done on those. And so we really don't know those long-term consequences like y'all were talking about. And what we do know, though, we try to educate on, and that's part of what tobacco education is.
Yeah, so what are important characteristics and skills you look for as a supervisor?
So Brienne told me about this question, and I was like, oh my goodness, but no. She really wanted to emphasize how prevention as a team is very similar to what you guys are doing as youth board members. We just are grown-ups and sometimes act like it. With prevention, we get to be very outgoing. We get to be out in the community. We get to do a lot of things that other people who work at behavioral health don't get to do, and we get to have fun, and they're jealous sometimes, but that's okay. So people who are outgoing, people who have a heart for the community, you have to have a heart for the community to do this work, because we work for a nonprofit, and people who work for nonprofits don't make a lot of money. So you have to have a heart for this work. Yeah. And I'm excited that the team that I do have has a heart for this work and has a heart for seeing change in this community. And we're working very hard to come up with events and just things out in the community that will help promote prevention. This podcast, for example, we are thrilled that we're able to do this podcast and reach people in a new way that we've never done before.
Yeah, and we are so happy to be a part of it. This is an amazing
y'all do
experience.
Such a great job. So you mentioned about events. What's your favorite event that y'all have done in the past?
So I am a Pickens County girl. I've been here my whole life. And so my favorite time that we get to do anything is when we're out in the community.
Yeah.
I hate being in that office. It drives me insane. I hate looking at my computer all day long. I don't like it.
Me too.
But when I can be face to face with somebody and I can have that interaction with people, that's my favorite part of my job. And I love that part.
That's great.
Yeah. So, can you give us an overview of the rest of the year? Like what events are coming up?
Oh, we have so many events coming up. We were looking at our calendar earlier and we were like, oh my goodness, there's so many really cool things coming. So the first one is in May. We will have a recovery-friendly movie night. That is for people who are in recovery. They can come out to a movie theater, TBD, to be determined where at for sure. And what movie, we're not sure yet, but we're going to have a movie theater rented and people can come in, bring their families, have a fun night with their kids. And that's just, an opportunity for people in recovery to get out there and have a good time and enjoy each other's company and know that they're not alone in that.
Right.
And then we also have the teen movie night that we've talked about a couple of times
so
before.
Excited for that one.
We are super excited about that. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit. But the big thing that we have coming up is a benefit dinner. The agency, like I said earlier, is a nonprofit. We don't get a lot of money. So we're trying this in a new way to try to raise money and also to get the information out to the community about what behavioral health is and what we do, because not a lot of people know what we do, even though we've been on Main Street for almost 50 years. Yeah. Next year will be the 50th anniversary of the agency opening.
Wow, we should definitely have a celebration for that.
We're having a party, yes.
Oh.
So that's a big thing that we'll be doing. You can purchase tickets. We'll have a silent auction. It'll be a lot of really cool speakers. And there will be an exciting announcement from behavioral health that night. We've got a lot of things coming up with that. Really, really cool. We'll also have some other teen events later on in the year. We've got dances planned, more movie nights, lots of fun things that kids can come to that give them a place to have a good time without the threat of the peer pressure from alcohol or tobacco or things like that.
What event are you looking forward to the absolute most?
So I thought about this a lot when I saw this interview question, and I was not really sure exactly what to say, but my heart is with youth and my heart is with you guys. And so I think that the alternative events that we have coming up throughout the remainder of the year are the ones that I'm anticipating most, because with you guys, we can get the word out there more to teens than what we've tried to do in the past. And we've got more people and more reach now, and I'm excited about that, and it makes my heart happy. And and so these alternative events are going to be really, really cool and a really cool opportunity to outreach to the community and to your peers.
So we're going to switch gears a little bit. So we heard that you were on the youth board when you were in high school. Is that true?
I was many, many moons ago. So long ago. I was going to say when, but I think you guys were born that same year.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I don't want to say that because it's going to make me feel old.
Wow.
So how many years were you on the youth board?
So I did 3 years on youth board. The only year I wasn't on was my freshman year of high school. And that's only because I didn't know it existed. And then a friend of mine mentioned it to me, and the advisor at the time was a person that I went to church with. And I was like, wait, how do you know Carrie? And he was like, oh, she does our youth board. And I'm like, well, what's youth board? And so I went to church the next Sunday, talked to Carrie about it, and she was like, absolutely, you should apply. And it was life-changing. Actually, I was a very, very shy kid. I know you don't believe me, but I swear I was. Like, I would not even call to order a pizza.
I'm pretty sure I could hear you laughing next door earlier when I got here.
You probably did. But I wouldn't even call to order a pizza because I didn't know who was on the other end of the phone. Like, that shy and backwards and weird. I know. If you're weird like that, it's okay. You will come out of it. But youth board really helped me with that. And, like, the first year I was on youth board, we went to a retreat. And I actually... I was so nervous about it and still that really shy girl. I faked an asthma attack to get to come home.
Oh my goodness.
Because I didn't want to, like, all these people and all this new stuff, and I was not that girl. I was not about that. So I faked an asthma attack. But then I got to the first meeting after the retreat, and all these people were talking about their inside jokes and all these things that had happened at the retreat. And I'm like, well, I think I missed something pretty cool. And so we, kept getting to know each other, and it was just youth board. It was probably some of the biggest memories of my high school career, if not probably the majority of my memories from high school revolve around youth board meetings or events or going to prom with some people from youth board. It was a lot of fun times.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and like there's pretty much everyone on this youth board. I guess there was like one or two people that I met before, but even some of the people who go to my school, like I didn't even know them, and now I know people from like all these different schools that I've met through the youth board, which is super cool. I didn't know Katie till like beginning of February. So
now like I text her almost every day.
yeah,
like bugging her.
That's a really cool part about youth board. And I actually served 2 years on college board too, which we really don't do a lot of anymore. But I did do 2 years on college board where I helped plan stuff for youth board, and I came back after I'd graduated. So that was really cool. I hang
super
around.
cool.
Yeah, they couldn't get rid of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was youth board different than it is now? How is it different?
Oh, well.
You're in charge.
Yeah, I'm in charge now. I get to tell people what to do. I'm just kidding. So it was in the age of, I know you guys find this hard to believe, but teenagers didn't have cell phones then.
How did you communicate?
We had to wait until 9 o'clock to call because it was
9 o'clock.
Yes.
What?
Okay, so let me explain. We had phones, but they were like ancient, right?
Yeah.
And like some of the first cell phones out there, and you had a plan, and you had a certain amount of minutes that you could use.
Whoa, I could not I am like calling people constantly.
But after 9 p.m. it was free.
Oh.
You didn't use your minutes.
That's so smart.
So that's why you had to wait until 9 p.m. to call everybody.
That is so smart.
But then also, like our parents, if we went somewhere, like I went to my retreat, my mom wouldn't let me take my phone.
Yeah.
Because it didn't work anyway. We were up in the mountains in the boonies, and there was no service anyway because service was awful back then. And we were able to bond on a different level than I think you guys are, because we didn't have that technology to be looking down at our phones the whole time. We had to talk to each other. I know that's weird.
I don't like talking.
That's weird.
Oh, yeah, right, Katie. Yeah, right.
Katie, okay. We had to talk to each other, and we bonded. And like I said, all of my high school memories are those things that we bonded over because we didn't have the opportunity to text each other or FaceTime. FaceTime wasn't even a thing. We didn't have that. iPhones weren't in existence until I was a senior in high school. And I bought myself one for Christmas, and I thought I was the stuff, man. But it didn't have FaceTime then either. So we had to talk to each other, and we had to work through these things that like the events that you guys are doing. We had to work through those things together, and we didn't have band to communicate with each other, and we had to talk to each other, and we had to work past those communication barriers, because looking at people is really hard. Like, especially when you don't know somebody very well, looking at them and saying, hey, I don't think we should do it this way is not easy. But we had to get past that, and we had to do it that way because we didn't have any other choice.
Right.
Yeah. So our next question is, what type of events did you guys host?
Oh my goodness, we did so many things. And I think that's probably why I think back on high school and everything was youth board related, because we did so many things and we were together all the time. Some of the biggest things that we did 2 retreats. We did one for elementary school students called Reflections. That was really cool. They had 5th grade teams that came in to to a gym, and they participated in these group activities to create something called an action plan. And that action plan went back to their schools, and that team got to work on that action plan and create a change in their school in 5th grade. So that was really cool. And then we moved on up to TLC, which was Teen Leadership Connection, and we did the same thing for middle schoolers. And the youth board got to train the middle schoolers, and we trained the elementary school kids, and they took those action plans back to their school and made a difference. And that was really cool for us to see as teenagers. We got to see what we were doing making a difference in the lives of kids younger than us.
Right. Yeah, that's something that, like, I love being able to just make a difference in people's lives. Like, just like putting a smile on someone's face, like, it's just it's fun, honestly.
Yeah, and we're doing this, so we are making a huge difference in the community. This is definitely something where I can say, yeah, I'm a part of this, and I'm making a difference, and I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
Even if you don't think it's cool, I am extremely proud of myself for doing this. And my parents have told me, I'm so proud of you. And I'm like, I'm proud of myself too. Like, I didn't think I was going to do this.
And I'm so proud of you guys. When I got this job, I became director in October of 2020. And I knew that youth board was at the top of my priority list and things that I wanted to bring back to prevention. Because I was on youth board, so I know how cool it could be and what you guys could do and to impact the community. And to see you guys come in together and doing stuff like, I mean, you just said you didn't know each other a month ago. So that's really cool. You're bringing people together and you're making a difference. 256 people have listened to your podcast already.
I didn't even know those numbers. That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy? And they're from all over the place.
200. That's like really, that's an overwhelming number if you think about it.
That's a lot. And you're making a difference, and your peers are seeing that. And it may not go with your aesthetic on your social media, and you may not like the way it looks, but you're doing it anyway. And you're letting people know, hey, I'm not going to do this, and here's why. And I'm learning from Youth Board, and I'm doing these things to make a difference in the community. And that's really cool. Really cool.
Yeah, like, I think right when COVID started, I never pictured myself doing something this incredible.
Right.
Because I will be honest, I was in a really, really bad spot. And now here I am saying, hey, don't do drugs.
Yeah.
And teaching you about the dangers of it.
Right.
And I'm a part of an amazing group that I get to work with Jessica, Alyssa, Brianne, and all the people that are a part of the youth board. So it's an incredible experience.
Yeah. So we've talked about like the things that we see in teens now. What type of issues did you see in teens and like did you witness when you were a teenager, and how different are they now?
So I was one of the good kids.
That's good
kids. And because I was one of those good kids, I really didn't see it a lot in high school because I was not going to parties on the weekends. I'd go to the football games and I'd sit with my friends and we'd have a good time. But then people would go out afterwards and I'd go to the house, or we'd go bowling, or we'd go do something fun that didn't involve alcohol or tobacco.
Right.
And so I really didn't see a lot of that, even though I knew it was there and we were working towards making a change for that as youth board members. Teens back then were not as blatant about it as they are today.
Yeah.
Like going to smoke in the bathrooms. We knew that there was a hallway at the old high school that you could go to smoke and not get caught, but everybody got caught.
Yeah.
But they're very blatant about it. Let's go to any bathroom and smoke a jewel, light it up, whatever, puff, whatever you call it these days. We weren't as blatant about it, or the other kids back then were not as braggy about it either. We hear it all the time.
Yeah.
I can buy a hit off of a jewel for $3 in the school parking lot. Somebody told me, okay, that's great, but you're damaging your lungs, and we don't know what you're doing long term if you're doing that. And teenagers weren't, like when I was a teenager, way back in 2006, we were not. Please don't say that's when you were born. You weren't born yet. Okay, that makes me feel worse. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
I was too.
Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better. Not quite. Way back then, we weren't very blatant, and and if we were, I missed it because I was hanging out with youth board kids and I was doing youth board activities and I was involving myself in things that didn't have those things around me, and I was surrounded by people who weren't pressuring me to do those things either.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's such an important thing to do, is pick your friends wisely, because if you pick the wrong friends, like that is going to make you go downhill real quick.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's what happened to me. Like, I picked the wrong friends and I went downhill bad.
Yeah.
But now here I am and I get to spend time with you guys.
It's kind of crazy, like when you see people go from like elementary to middle and then middle to high school, like usually like the friend groups change real quick. And it's whenever you see people go with the wrong friend group, you can see that change in them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, were there people when you were in elementary school that have completely changed?
Exactly.
Like, everywhere you look, you're like, she used to be so good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what happened? Or
Like, we used to be friends, like, but now, like, if I hung out around here, like, she'd be smoking weed the whole time.
Okay, so our next question is, what do you think the biggest issue facing teens today is?
Oh my goodness. I could be here for a while. But I think one of the biggest issues is the pressure, not from only from each other, but from outside sources. You guys are seeing more media today than any generation has ever seen. You guys are being bombarded with songs that mention these drug references, and they're trying to be very subtle about it. And movies that are constantly showing you that underage drinking is cool or it's okay and you're going to be fine, nothing's going to happen. And TV shows and all of these things, and the peer pressure even that comes from people around you. And it's hard. It's nothing like when I was a teenager, way back before you were born, Alyssa. Nothing like that at all. And I could not imagine being a teenager today. It's crazy. And we've talked about using that word a lot, but it's crazy the things that you guys face and continue to face, and how ever evolving that is. And it could be that something's going on today that's not an issue tomorrow. That's how quickly everything is changing for us, and how we have to be on top of these things. And that's why you guys as youth board members are so important to us, because I'm old. Brienne's old.
Brienne's looking at us like, what?
Brienne's old compared to you guys. And we don't know what's going on. We have an idea, but you guys can come to me and say, hey, Jessica, guess what happened today at school? And we can do something about it. We can help address that. I can work it through with you guys. And so having that pressure, but also having some outside sources like Youth Board that you can turn to, or an adult that you trust, a youth pastor, an adult mentor, somebody that you can say, hey, guess what's going on? And they can say, okay, that's fine, but let's talk through it about why you shouldn't, or something like that. And I know I chased a rabbit very much so with that question, but it all stems back to that pressure that you guys are facing, and how, like, mentally you guys are even, like, facing so much more than we did too, because mental health is becoming more of a hot topic, and it should be, because kids have some pretty serious mental health issues, especially since COVID and having to be at home and not getting to see your friends every day like you were used to. And those mental health challenges are brought to light even more now because it's being talked about more. And all of that needs to happen, and I'm glad that it's happening. But it's strange to shift that mindset from what I experienced as a teenager to what you guys are experiencing now, because it's so different.
Yeah.
And it makes me sad, but it also, like, seeing you guys here and your youth board peers makes me happy, because I know there are kids out there who aren't choosing to succumb to those pressures.
Yeah, and me and Alyssa are going to be doing an episode later on this month on mental health.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that one.
Me too.
That'll be a good one coming up, so y'all tune in.
Yeah, stay tuned. So, another question. Tell our listeners about the plans that you have to help the youth board create fun, safe, and exciting environments for teens in our community this year.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about this earlier, but we have something called alternative events coming up, and that's just a really fancy way that the prevention team uses to say a safe, fun environment for kids that does not have the pressures of alcohol, tobacco, or other drugs there. So the first thing is the movie night coming up. We're working with Pickens City Police Department. Chief Beach and the SROs have been amazing to work with, and they are so excited to help us with these events. So the movie night's coming up. We'll have like a pre-movie snack, and we'll go into the theater and watch the movie, and then it'll be like a costume night. We haven't officially announced.
So excited.
We haven't officially announced what the movie will be yet, but it'll be some kind of theme, and you'll get to dress up and, you know, have some fun and watch the movie, meet some new people. So that's going to be really cool. And then in October, we're going to have a Halloween dance.
Yes. I'm so excited for that one.
Spooky, yeah. I don't do scary stuff.
Me
I don't
neither.
understand that concept. Like, why would you pay somebody to scare you? That doesn't make sense to me.
It's fun. It's like that fear factor, like going on a roller coaster.
No, see, don't do that
Love
either.
that. Oh
No.
my goodness,
No,
Jessica.
I'm better on the ground.
Hey, I'm okay with roller coasters. It's just scary movies and scary
No, I don't do scary
shows.
movies,
No.
but haunted houses.
No,
I
see,
can't even do that.
doesn't
Really?
make sense to me.
Me
Man.
and Jessica are kind of like the same
We're
person.
the twinsies. Yes.
Yes.
That's crazy.
No,
I even hate it when people come up behind me and like, boo, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I hate that feeling.
why would you pay somebody to do that to you? That doesn't make any sense.
It makes
to
me laugh. That fear makes me laugh.
Anyway, that Halloween dance, and then at Christmas we'll have another movie night around Christmas time. That'll be a lot of fun, and we are partnering with the Pickens City Police Department on all of those. So we're so thankful for the partnership that we have with them, and how awesome Chief Beach has been so far to help us getting these established. And so now all we need is people there. So be sure to follow us on Facebook. Facebook's for old people now, but we have Facebook.
I have Facebook. It's okay.
And we have Instagram, and we are on TikTok. You get to see this elder millennial do all kind of fun, crazy things on TikTok.
Yeah, we will be taking over it.
That's
but-
they keep saying
Yeah.
that, but they haven't done it yet.
I'll take it over right after this.
Okay.
Yeah, we will take it over for you.
Got it. Well, follow us on all those platforms. We'll be advertising there, and it'll be a lot of fun. You'll get to have some really cool times without the pressures of those alcohol, tobacco, or other drugs there.
Yeah, and if you want to, for our listeners, if you guys want to go listen to the interview we had with Chief Beach. So if you guys want to go and listen to our interview with Chief Beach and Staff Sergeant Griffin, that was our last podcast that we, our last episode that we released last week. And so I think y'all will really enjoy it.
Yes,
Me
make
and
sure to
Elle
go
enjoyed
give that
it.
a listen.
Yeah. So thank you so much for your letting us interview you.
So make sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at We Are PCYB and on Facebook at Pickens County Youth Board.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys, and thank you so much for letting us continue this podcast and let us educate you on this stuff.
Yes, share the information for teens by teens.
Have a great weekend.